Yo, what's up, dudes? Today's gonna be an exciting episode because I'm gonna try to see if I can get this thing started today. Let's go. Quick little update here. I think I've finally sorted out this brake reservoir leak over here. So I've put like a couple clamps on each side because the tube that runs here is a different diameter than the ones that are here. So this rubber hose here just wasn't clamping properly. I think I've sorted that out. I filled this. I don't see any wetness over here so far, so I might be okay. Just crossing my fingers. And then this other update, I honestly really wanted to film it, but I kind of was just on a roll and it turned out actually way better than I expected. I had this rug here at the top of my garage, like in storage for the longest time. And I don't know, before I put this seat on, I figured maybe let's give it a shot. So I threw the rug in here and I started cutting away, and then it actually turned out really, really nice. Let's take a look under here. I'm basically just using these clamps or binder clamps. I don't want to glue it down yet because it's not like final or anything. So yeah, that will just hold that in place. But so far, everything here is looking really good. I have it all the way covered here. The bolt for the seat belts, I'm gonna eventually replace my seat belts, but until I find the ones that I like, I'll continue using these ones. But I still bolted it in right here. And then even my e-brake, I cut all the way around there. Even the shifter here, it's cut really nice all the way up to the front. I kind of have it just rolled here and then clamped to the top of these floor mats, so it prevents it from rolling down any further, but it's being held up pretty nicely. I have these cut holes here to clear my pedals, so my clutch can still move like that. My brakes here, I actually cut a little too much here and it's kind of exposing that. So I'm actually debating if I should maybe cut off a piece of the excess and like sew it onto the other one. This gas pedal, I know it's kind of concerning being that it's a little close to that, but I've already tested it and it seems like it's holding up okay. If anything, I could probably just like trim off a little bit more in the back, but it's really not too bad. These floor mats, I've been using these for a while and it's hiding like all this greatness down here. It's funny because this rug has been in my family's home for as long as I can remember, and I just have continued ownership of it since I've moved out. I brought it to my first apartment, then the next house that I rented, and then the house that I'm at now. It's kind of just been sitting again in my storage up there for a few years, and now it's in my car. So maybe I will use some of the excess stuff that I have and cover this stuff up. It didn't quite reach all the way over here and I don't have enough material for that. So I will probably find like some kind of black material just to cover this and then tuck it underneath there. My brother with the Gia is currently borrowing my seat beads for his seats just because my car's kind of just been sitting on stands. But I kind of want them back now just to complete the look. Like I have like the wood there, I have the wood floor, I have the wood handle, I have the wood rack. So oh, actually, you know what? He brought it back. Wow. Thanks, bro. I just noticed it right now. Let me put this on real quick. Would you look at that? Wow. Really nice. I don't even really care too much about this ripped seat. I mean, I think just the beads kind of just make the interior pop and it's looking really nice. Super excited for that. Anyways, on today's episode, I'll be focusing primarily on the alignment. So I'm finally gonna get started on that. So I think I'm gonna actually take off my tie rods and tie rod ends completely off the steering because I want to make sure that this inner and the outer is all the way tight. And what that does is it will sync the length from each side. So basically I'm not like bottomed out here and still have like halfway to go over there. Here's both tie rods completely removed off the car. And what I'm talking about is here, you basically spin this righty loosey, lefty tighty. Whereas on this side, it's the usual righty tighty, lefty loosey. While this outer tie rod is bolted in with the inner tie rod bolted into the steering, as you turn this, will shorten or lengthen this so that this steering will go left and right like that. And that is how toe is adjusted. So what I'm trying to do is get both of these to bottom out all the way, like that. Like that. You want to kind of have it in a similar position to how they're going to be installed into the car. So I guess like that. This will go up on the inner, outer goes down. So I'm gonna leave it kind of like that. Once this is bolt in and this is bolt in, as I turn that, these two ends are gonna be kind of in the same like length, and I have all the adjustability that I possibly can. Let's do this side. All the way in, and that's all the way in because the threads kind of stop like over there, like that. Cool. So I'm gonna put this back into the car. Okay, so with the inner tie rod now bolted in securely, and this is still loose, here is still loose, I can turn this by hand, and as I'm turning it, it's then going to increase the length of this entire rod, thus pushing out that end of the spindle, which means the longer I make this, the more toe in this is going to be. Before I start working on adjusting the toe, I want to show the other forms of adjustment on the back of the spindle here. So I've already tightened the top and the bottom, the top sections of both ball joints, but here in the bottom I haven't tightened this or this because you still have some adjustment here and over here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this top adjustment will adjust for the camber, and here at the bottom is for the caster. I'm not 100% sure if there's a difference in sizing, but I have a 12 and a 13. The tops are O-caps, I think, and the bottom are mall. I don't know. But anyways, this one up here is a 13. Down here is a 12. And I'm gonna set the camera here while I turn the bottom. But basically, caster will adjust the way that this sits like that. Camber will adjust how the wheel sits forward and backward like that. So as I turn the caster here, take a look at this bottom section, how it kind of kicks out like this. Whoa! And then adjusting the camber. So I've adjusted the casters so that the bottom of the wheel will be as far forward as possible. I think that's normally how people do it. I don't really know. I think that's the way that like steering works. It's better when it's like tilted forward, which is why I believe I've seen like caster shims that go on type 1s. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it. This bottom wheel will be as far forward as possible. So now that's good. Now I'm gonna adjust the camber. So I'm gonna wait until this gets to about 90 degrees. All right, that's gonna be about as good as it's gonna get. So I'm gonna torque down those two bolts that hold together the bottoms of the ball joints. Moving on to the next trick up my sleeves. With the caster and the camber now adjusted as much as I can, I'm gonna be starting on adjusting the toe. And what I have here are these magnetic hooks right there, stuck to the rotor on the bottom with this long metal piece right here. And same thing on the other side right here. I actually have it taped because I'm doing this myself, and when I was trying to measure this, it kept like rolling around. So I have that taped down, and this side here I can kind of just keep an eye on it as I measure this distance from here to over there versus the distance from here to over there. Okay, so with the steering wheel somewhat centered inside, this is measuring to about 51 3/4. And on the back side of it, I'm measuring about 51 1/4. This side here is about 1/2 inch, like toe out. So in order for me to line this up to the other side, I need to basically turn this about 1/4 inch and turn that 1/4 inch. Okay, so toe is somewhat adjusted. I'm gonna aim for 51 1/2. Let's adjust it with the ruler on there. Okay, that's about 51 1/2 right there. And let's check the other side. A little bit over 51 1/2, so I'll kind of meet it somewhat in the middle, like that. Let's double check with the other side. And just a touch above 51 1/2. With all that measured out, I should be good to torque down the last bits and pieces to tie the steering together, and then I'll be able to start putting the wheels on it and put it back down on the ground. All right, dudes, Hail Mary. Everything's all torqued down. I have the battery hooked up, and the key is put in the ignition, so let's see if the starter even works. Yep, starter seems to work okay, so I am gonna see if I can get it to start. Since the engine's been sitting for a while, it may not have oil pressure. I do know there's oil in there, so I'm gonna just crank the starter for a little bit so that it creates a little bit of oil pressure. Okay, that may be enough, so let's see if we can get it to start. All right, let's see. All right, ignition is on, and I have this button hooked up to the starter. Ooh. So I figured it out. I think it just needed to prime with fuel because the engine's been sitting for a long time. So it should start right now. Oh man, he just fell on here. Sweet, it's gonna go back on the ground. Almost. That would have been terrible. Let's go. Finally on the ground. Look at that. It's way lower, dude. So the Squareback is back on the ground. It's looking really, really good. The fitment is really nice. The wheels are nice and tucked in. This is the first the Squareback's been officially on the ground in however many months. It's been a while. So I have my temporary gas tank here, just a jerry can. I have it strapped down to the beam and this hose here. So I think I'm actually gonna try to go around the block and see how it drives, how the steering works, make sure the brakes are gonna keep me from dying, and then I'll come right back. Alright dudes, I just got back from its maiden voyage and it drove pretty well. Actually, the steering feels really solid. I don't have slop in the steering wheel anymore. The wheels, the fitment is in great shape. No complaints there. So yeah, this is basically my current setup with the gas situation, but I think I will end up taking it to an alignment shop because I'm by no means any professional. So I'm gonna have them actually take care of the alignment properly. And then once that's done, I will then put my gas tank on. But for now, that's just how it's gonna sit. So I will continue fiddling with this a little bit more. Let me actually close this so you see what it looks like officially on the ground. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. Cool. Well, I think that's gonna end the video. Thanks for following along, guys. See you in the next one.